Welcome to the Build Your Private Practice podcast, a space for Canadian therapists who want to support others, make an impact, and build a sustainable practice that works for them too. I'm your host, Liane Wood, a registered psychotherapist, group practice owner, and business mentor, and I'm here to help you build a private practice that allows you to keep doing the work you love without burning out. Because the people who need your help the most are counting on you, and you deserve a practice that supports you while you support them. Let's dive in. This episode is brought to you by Jane, a practice management software and EMR designed to help mental health practitioners run their private practice without running around. Managing a practice can mean juggling more tools than you ever planned to, one for booking, one for documentation, and another for billing. Each solves a small part of the puzzle, but because they don't work together, the manual admin still adds up. Jane helps practitioners connect their core tools in one place. Payments are taken and recorded directly in Jane, so billing stays accurate and is easier to track. And Jane Websites helps new clients find your clinic online. And if something needs attention, Jane's support team is available by phone, email, or chat with an understanding of how your entire system works together. For added peace of mind, Jane includes privacy and security features like two-step verification, role-based access levels, and HIPAA and PIPEDA compliance, so you can feel confident your practice and client data are protected. Practitioners know better than anyone that a little connection goes a long way. To learn more about how Jane can support you, your clients, and your practice, head to jane.app/demo. And if you're ready to get started, you can use my code BYPP2MO for a 2-month grace period on your new account. That's BYPP2MO. Welcome to the Build Your Private Practice podcast, a space for Canadian therapists who want to support others, make an impact, and build a sustainable practice that works for them too. I'm your host, Liane Wood, registered psychotherapist, group practice owner, and business mentor, and I'm here to help you build a private practice that allows you to keep doing the work you love without burning out. Because the people who need your help the most are counting on you, and you deserve a practice that supports you while you support them. Over the last several episodes in the Culture of Private Practice series, we've talked about judgment. We've talked about discomfort. We've talked about scarcity, jealousy, alignment, competition, and community. And today, I want to zoom out because here's what I keep coming back to. The profession we say we want doesn't happen accidentally. It's built. It's built in comment sections, in supervision rooms, in Facebook groups, in how we talk about money, in how we respond to growth, in how we interpret difference. Culture is not abstract, it's cumulative, and every one of us is contributing to it. If you ask therapists what kind of professional culture they want, you will often hear similar things: collaborative, ethical, supportive, non competitive, grounded, values aligned. We say we want a profession where therapists aren't burned out, where money isn't taboo, where business skills aren't shamed and growth isn't demonized. Questions can be asked safely. But wanting that culture and building that culture are different things because culture requires intention, and intention requires leadership, not loud leadership, not influencer style leadership, steady leadership, the kind that shows up consistently and chooses maturity in small moments. Over the years, I've watched therapists quietly second guess themselves. I've watched them hesitate to raise rates, not because it isn't warranted, but because of how it might be perceived. I've watched therapists downplay growth, and I've watched innovative ideas get shut down quickly. I've watched therapists stay silent instead of asking for support. And every time I see it, I think we can do better than this. Not because we are failing, but because we're capable of more nuance. We are trained in nuance. We understand context and we hold space for complexity every single day with our clients. We can extend that same complexity to each other. When I stepped into the CEO role at Build Your Private Practice, it felt significant. It felt like I was being entrusted with something sacred. The founder, Christine, believed in me. The community believed in the work, and I felt deeply responsible to protect the tone, to protect the steadiness, to protect the integrity. But here is something important. Leadership isn't reserved for CEOs, and it isn't reserved for supervisors. It isn't reserved for therapists with the largest followings. Leadership shows up in micro decisions. It shows up when you choose curiosity instead of correction. It shows up when you celebrate someone's growth without needing it for yourself. It shows up when you admit you're unsure instead of pretending certainty. It shows up when you talk about money honestly without shame. Every therapist is shaping the profession in small ways. I care deeply about the kinds of rooms we build. Rooms where therapists can ask questions without being embarrassed, talk about revenue without being labeled greedy, explore scaling without being called corporate, stay small without being called unambitious, admit mistakes without being shamed, and admit success without minimizing it. Those rooms don't happen automatically. They're intentional. They're moderated, they're modeled, they're reinforced, and they are fragile. It takes very little to destabilize safety. One harsh comment, one dismissive response, one moralized assumption, and suddenly someone decides, I won't ask next time. That is how isolation spreads. There is a false dichotomy that runs through our profession quietly. Ethics on one side, business on the other. Service on one side, income on the other. Impact on one side, growth on the other. But those are not opposites. In fact, sustainable therapists are often more ethical therapists. When you are financially stable, you can make decisions from an aligned place instead of panic. You can say no to clients outside your scope without feeling panic. You can invest in professional development. You can take time off from your practice to recuperate without resentment or feeling like, how am I going to pay the bills? You can refer confidently. When you are burned out and financially stressed, your nervous system is under strain, and strained nervous systems don't produce better care. So, when we talk about building sustainable private practices, we are not abandoning ethics, we're reinforcing them. One of the hardest parts of private practice isn't strategy, it's identity. Therapists are trained to be helpers, not business owners, not marketers, not CEOs, not leaders. So when growth happens, it can feel uncomfortable, almost like stepping outside of your lane. But private practice requires dual identity. You are both a clinician and a business owner. You're both compassionate and strategic, both relational and operational. And the sooner we normalize that dual identity, the healthier the profession becomes. There is nothing inherently unethical about learning how to run your private practice well. In fact, it protects the longevity of your work. When we build intentionally, something shifts. Therapists feel less alone. They feel supported. They feel capable. They feel less defensive about their growth, and they feel less threatened by others. They feel clearer. Clear therapists build steady practices, and steady practices reduce burnout. Reduced burnout improves client care. This isn't abstract, it's systemic. So here is the invitation. Before you comment, pause. Before you critique, clarify. Before you assume, inquire. Before you shrink your own ambition, examine why. Before you judge someone else's model, consider their context. We can hold strong ethical standards and we can allow difference. We can be discerning without being dismissive, and we can be thoughtful without being harsh. We can build real practices and allow each other to build them differently. If you're quietly building a practice that feels aligned, if you're learning business skills for the first time, if you're raising your rates thoughtfully, if you're adding associates carefully, if you're exploring supervision or offering courses responsibly, if you're trying to do this with integrity, you are not betraying the profession. You are participating in its evolution, and you don't have to figure it out alone. The culture of private practice is not fixed. It's not determined by history. It's determined by behavior. Ours. The profession we say we want, collaborative, ethical, sustainable, requires us to embody those qualities with each other, not just with clients, not with each other. We can build the profession we want to belong to, and it starts in small moments. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Build Your Private Practice podcast. If this series has resonated with you, I'd love it if you subscribe, leave a review, or share it with a fellow Canadian therapist who needs this. Remember, the work you do matters. And if you're ready to build your practice inside a community that values integrity, sustainability, and steady leadership, you can explore our programs online at buildyourprivatepractice.ca. You don't have to figure this out alone. I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Build Your Private Practice podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love it if you'd subscribe, leave a review, or share it with a fellow Canadian therapist who needs this. And remember, the work you do matters. Keep showing up, keep holding space, and keep building a practice that works for you. If you're looking for practical tools or support to grow your practice with more clarity and confidence, head to buildyourprivatepractice.ca. There's lots waiting for you there. I'll see you next time.